Hello again, my friends. Welcome to or welcome back to We Are Wool People. My name is Ailsa, and on this channel we talk about knitting. Now, can I just thank everyone who watched last week's video? I did not expect it to do as well as it did, so I'm absolutely delighted. And if you're back here today, having only watched my channel for the first time last week, welcome back to. But today I'm back again for another Ravelry Hot Right Now, Hot or Not. I'm just going to start with two super quick things. I'm going to tell you what I'm wearing because people asked me last week and I forgot to mention what I was wearing last week. This week I'm wearing the HeatWave tee by Karena Bow, and I knitted this in Rowan 4-ply cotton, and I knitted this in 2022. And it's a really great summer top. I wear it all the time. And I think it's quite appropriate actually that this top is called the HeatWave top because it's actually 42 degrees out there today, which is in Fahrenheit 107.5 degrees. It is insanely hot, which is why I'm not in the rainforest as promised last week because A, only mad dogs and Englishmen go out in the midday sun, and B, I am so mortally afraid of snakes that I was too scared to go walking up there in a day like today because I feel quite convinced that they'd be out there in the sun getting nice and warm. I am so afraid of snakes, it's not even funny. Freud would have a field day with my fear of snakes. It's irrational. The very thought of talking about them actually gives me the heebie-jeebies. However, that's a fun weird fact about me. Let's look at Ravelry's top 10 hot right now patterns, and I will tell you whether I think they're hot or not. And I encourage you to tell me whether you think they're hot or not in the comments. In order to find the hot right now patterns, I'm sure you know this, but I'm just going to go through the process anyway. You open up Ravelry, you go to patterns, and on the left-hand side, right in front of you, is a little sign that says hot right now with a little flame. You browse patterns in that order, and I always pull down the sort by drop-down menu and change it to hot right now. I'm only looking at knitting, I'm not looking at crochet, and let's go number one. Number one is the sailor slippers. This is their third week in the top two. The last 2 weeks they've been at number 2 and today they are at number 1. These sailor slippers patterns are really ramping up in popularity. There are 40,000 likes and over 4,600 projects, and this pattern has only been out for 3 months. It's been an absolute runaway success. And who am I to yuck on all those people's yums? I do like the sailor slippers. I think they are hot. Pattern number 2, the Sophie hood by Petite knit. Also hot. Now this is the Sophie hood's third week in the top 10 and it is rising in popularity. Probably because, I think, of the Christmassy element of it, because it's actually quite a good gift knit. And in the first week I said it would not be a quick knit. However, I have discovered by knitting one that actually I was able to make the small one in probably less than a week. I have finished my Sophie hood. It looks dreadful on me. Honestly, have a look. I'll put it on and don't sugarcoat it because I know it does not look good on me. I've made this actually for my son's girlfriend for Christmas, so it's not mine. So I don't have to worry about it not looking good on me, but I'm going to put it on and show you that honestly, this trend, not very attractive on me. Look, I only made a small one. Look, I look like Kenny out of South Park. No, it's not very good on me. I made this out of Cartier wool cotton. Again, took me a week. It wasn't that much fun. A little bit tedious at times, and probably more counting and a little bit more concentration involved in making a Sophie hood than what you might imagine, considering it's just a flat-out garter stitch project. However, I do believe that the Sophie hood is in fact hot, and that it's a very trendy accessory, and it would make a great gift knit. Pattern number 3, the step-by-step sweater by Florence Miller. Again, I think this pattern is hot. It's free and it's a really well-fitted top-down raglan sweater, perfect for a beginner or someone who just wanted to make a very, very basic top-down raglan sweater with a great fit, and there are instructions and video tutorials for every step of the way, and Florence is wonderful for releasing a pattern like that is so wearable and so classic for free. Pattern number 4, the Sophie scarf by Petite Knit. The Sophie scarf was the original pattern in the Sophie collection, and there is now a scarf, a shawl, and this hood. The Sophie scarf is a very, very small, the Sophie scarf, I'm not going to tell you what it is. Everyone knows the Sophie scarf. And is the Sophie scarf hot or not? Begrudgingly, I would say the Sophie scarf is hot. Personally, my hot take on the Sophie scarf is that I think Petite Knit could well have put this particular pattern out there for free in gratitude for the enormous support that the knitting community has given her design business. That would probably go against her current business model, but in my opinion, the Sophie scarf should probably be a free pattern. I've mentioned before, because I live in Australia and I live on the east coast of Australia and it's quite warm here, that I probably wouldn't have much use for a Sophie scarf, particularly because it's so small. So to me, I feel like if it's cold, then maybe you need a warm scarf, and if it's not cold, you don't need a scarf at all. So why would you bother making a small scarf? I think, again, this pattern is in the top 10 because it's so close to Christmas, and this really would be a fast gift knit. But I was thinking the other day when I was getting all my Christmassy things out and putting them around the house, that I have in fact already made a Sophie scarf. It's just that I didn't know, because I've made one of Petite Knit's Christmas bows, and my understanding is that that's a Sophie scarf. It's just got instructions on how to turn it into a bow by knitting a little, what were they called? Do you remember what they were called? Woggles? Woggles? Anyway, that's what they were called at school anyway, when we had a school tie. So what are we up to? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, 5. We have a new one in the top 10. It is the Rose City Pullover by Sari Nordlund. Sari Nordlund is a brilliant knitwear designer, and I feel like she's had a quiet year this year. In my mind, in 2024, Sari Nordlund released a pattern every month. I feel like she's maybe slowed down a little bit. She's probably working on another beautiful coffee table book. This Rose City Pullover is knitted in, I'd say it's a DK weight. Yeah, it's a DK weight yarn on a 20 stitch gauge. The suggested yarn is the Wandering Flock Merino DK. It's a seamless top-down sweater featuring beautifully stranded rose motif across the yoke, inspired by Portland, which is affectionately known as the City of Roses. I did not know that. This design captures charm and creative spirit of its namesake city, the Rose City Pullover. Well, there you go. It's named after Portland, Oregon, I imagine. In very typical Sari Nordlund style, the yoke of this sweater is very well designed. It looks like it fits her really beautifully. The only thing, I'm not really seeing the rose motif as clearly as what I'd imagine I would on a jumper that's called the City of Roses. Are you? I can see that, it's got an intricate colour work yoke, but I'm not really seeing roses there. What do I think? I wonder whether this pattern would have been released if Le Knit didn't release her rosy sweater pattern a couple of months ago. I do wonder how much inspiration knitwear designers take from each other, particularly when patterns get released that are actually quite different to what's currently out there. I am going to go out on a limb with the Rose City Pullover and say that I think it is not hot. When I look at Sari Nordlund's colour work sweater patterns, for my personal taste, I think that the Thelma pullover, the Lume sweater, the Pohiola and the Tritone, for my personal taste, I think they are much nicer than this Rose City Pullover. I'm sorry, Sari, for punching up, but no, I don't think it's hot. The next one, Let's Shawl Together by the Cristal Hiatt Factory Girl Design. Is that number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? That's number 6. I can't make a judgment on whether a knit along is hot or not before I can see any projects, so I'll have to skip over that one. Number 7. the Ninon sweater by Moreca Knit. Or can I just, spoiler alert, it's hot. This textured sweater is just the epitome of winter cozy, isn't it? The halo on that cream yarn just looks so soft. The way that that's been so beautifully photographed. Oh, the chocolate one is just beautiful as well. Look at the way the light hits those cables and just, you know, puts them in just perfect relief. The beautiful wide sleeves. Oh, it's very, very cozy. So it's a worsted weight yarn held together with obviously a silk mohair or something similar to give it that beautiful halo. So those two weights of yarn I think sort of lend themselves well to quite a few options. If you're holding an Aran weight, which is roughly the equivalent of a 10 ply in, you know, old-fashioned Australian terms, and then also a silk mohair, of which there are many, many options. Or you could potentially also use a blown yarn, something like Karma Rosa Snefnug or this Cartier Cotton Merino, although the gauge of that might be a little bit small. The Moreca Knit Ninon sweater debuting at number 6 on the top 10 is, in my opinion, very hot. Next one, jumping straight in. The top 10 at number 7 is the Elf-burgh by Ysolda Teague. This is very Christmas coded, this super cute little bonnet. This really, really cute bonnet just looks gorgeous on the little baby photographed here with Ysolda. And it says, just like the popular Musselburgh hat, the Elf-burgh hat bonnet, and it says, just like the popular Musselburgh hat, the Elf-burgh bonnet is knit from the tip of one crown to the tip of the opposite crown in one long tube. And then one is turned inside the other to create a perfectly double layered bonnet that hugs the head. Each side is knitted in different colours, so you've got two hats in one, fully reversible with a perfectly clean finish on both sides. Is the Elf-burgh bonnet hot or not? The Elf-burgh bonnet is a bit of fun whimsy for Christmas, and I think it is hot. That was number 8. Number 9, the Uma scarf by Petite Knit. Again, Petite Knit has really nailed a simple design that is going to have a lot of universal appeal. I personally have no doubt that this pattern is going to be hugely popular, not only for this winter, but certainly for the Southern Hemisphere winter, which is coming in the middle of the year next year, but probably also through to next year as well. The reason I say that is because of its shape. The triangle scarf has been reported on a lot of the fashion websites since about October 2025, and saying that it is literally the it accessory for the Scandi chic look for winter this year. So if you Google triangle scarf trend, you'll find that every fashion magazine, every fashion blog, and every street fashion website out there is talking about the triangle scarf as being a must-have accessory for winter 2025. So it doesn't really come as any surprise that Petite Knit has taken that opportunity to design something that is so fashionable. She's very, very good at having the finger on the pulse on what the Scandi girls are wearing on the streets of Copenhagen, and that's probably because she is actually on the streets of Copenhagen herself. And she's also, she's the epitome of the Scandi chic, everyday, effortless vibe, isn't she? I'm going to knit myself a triangle scarf for winter next year, and I am going to knit it in cashmere, but I am not going to buy the Uma scarf pattern. I'm going to draft it myself. I think it goes without saying that I think the Uma scarf pattern is hot, but I don't think I need to buy one. And lastly, pattern number 10 is All the Texture by Marley Bird. It's a blanket pattern, and I find that really interesting that a blanket pattern does actually appear in the top 10, because it's quite unusual for a blanket pattern to actually have such popularity. It is, and it's interesting because you can't buy this pattern. So I wonder why it's up there in the top 10 in Ravelry popularity. I'm going to actually email Ravelry next week and ask them what the algorithm relies on, because I'm of the understanding that the top 10 hot right now patterns or the hot right now algorithm only looks at views. It doesn't necessarily look at what's been favorited, what's been liked, and it doesn't look at the number of projects. But I'm not 100% sure about that. So I'm going to email them next week and see if they get back to me. Ravelry is actually run by about 4 individuals, only 4 people work there. So I'm not holding out too much hope that they'll get back to me in any hurry, but you never know. I've been a member there for a long time. All the texture by Marley Bird is only available from the Marley Bird's website, and it says here that it is part of the Jolly Holiday with Marley Volume 3 pattern advent calendar, so it's only available for a very limited time. That probably explains its popularity, and it could be free. Okay, so when you go to the Jolly Holiday website, you get a pattern advent calendar, which I'm imagining, I'm not doing that, but it says, click here to get the pattern advent calendar now. Can you see that? Click here, HEAR. And so for that reason alone, all the texture by Marley Bird gets a not hot from me, because that kind of lazy proofreading really gets my goat. I'm a cranky old curmudgeon, aren't I? And that is my hot or not for Ravelry's top 10 for the 18th of December 2025. I can't be responsible for what Ravelry put in the top 10, and I apologise that today's top 10 was very, very dull. So let's contrast those top 10 patterns with Ravelry's suggested patterns for me personally, and I will show you how I look at those as well. I click on patterns, and then on the right hand side I get my pattern highlights. Now, I don't know what other users' experience might be like when they look at their pattern highlights, but my pattern highlights populates based on what I've liked, what I've made, designers I've favorited, projects I've favorited, or other things that I have otherwise acted upon when I'm looking at them on Ravelry. I imagine that if you only use Ravelry as a viewer and you don't interact by liking things or saving things or buying patterns or liking designers or making favorites or whatever, that your pattern highlights might not get as populated as what mine is. So I would recommend that you do use Ravelry in an interactive way like that, so that you can have Ravelry sort of learn what you like and suggest patterns to you if that's what you want to do. Interestingly, today there are quite a few in my pattern highlights that are in the top 10. My number 1 is the Deep Winter Sweater by Wool & Pine. Very, very heavily textured cabled sweater. I think it's hot, although I don't think I've ever made a bulky weight sweater. Number 2 is the Midnight Walk by Melanie Berg, which is a textured cuff vanilla sock. Do I think it's hot? Not really. I think it's kind of lukewarm. Number 3 is the Odette sweater by Johanna Gehrisch. It's knitted with 2 lace weight yarns held together to give a worsted gauge, a 16 stitch gauge. I'd question the airiness of that. I think that would be a very, very open gauge with just 2 lace weights, even if they are 2 silk mohairs held together, which that's more or less what it is. I do really like the look of this sweater, and I think it's hot. Number 4 is the Greykjavik shawl by Stephen West. I don't think that's hot. I think Stephen West is absolutely a genius. He's so creative and he's so out there, and I just love his aesthetic and I love his dedication to his quirkiness, and I just think I think he's a real asset to the knitting community. But this Greykjavik shawl looks to me like he felt the need to release a pattern in December and he just jotted one up. I don't really like it. No. The Rose City Pullover by Sari Nordlund has been suggested to me at number 5. Again, I actually don't think that's hot. The Cable Crush Cardigan by Knitatude has been recommended to me. I got to be honest, I think Knitatude is a little bit of a one-trick pony, and I don't really like that Cable Crush cardigan. I think it's very old-fashioned. It's been suggested to me because I really do like her other like cocoony wrap cardigans made in the mohair, but I think that this cable crush cardigan is very dated. Oh, she has also got another one called Step Into Prep Vest, which is a slip over knitted in a very chunky gauge. I think it'd be a good beginner project. I don't really like that either. Then we've got the Ninon sweater by Moreca Knit, which, as we've already discussed, I think is very hot. Then I've got the Elf-burgh by Ysolda Teague, also think that one's hot. And finally, I've got the Terrazzo hat by Petite Knit. It looks like it's part of the Terrazzo patterns series that she's got, which included a sweater that I really did love, and I still would like to make a Terrazzo sweater. I actually went to make one last year, but I ended up making the Econ sweater by the Knit Pearl Girl, and I really like that too. This Terrazzo hat, which was been released in December 2025, is an ordinary stocking stitch beanie with a really deep ribbed brim. It looks a little bit like a Cossack hat to me. I don't mind it. And if I had to say it was hot or not, to be generous towards Petite Knit, I would say it was hot because it ticks all the boxes for her classic easy knits, but it's not very exciting, is it? So that's it for the Ravelry Top 10, hot or not, for the 18th of December 2025. So once again, thank you so much for joining me. I'm really grateful that you're here. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like or perhaps subscribing to the channel. That would absolutely make my day. And I want to know, did you think any of these patterns were hot or not? I think today's top 10 was a little bit dull, wasn't it? Sorry about that. I can't control that. Anyway, I hope your Christmas plans are going well. I don't have any advice. I do have a specialty though. I make a really mean Scottish shortbread. It's just like Walker's, and it's very, very easy to make, and you can't hardly ever stuff it up. So on that note, I might go and make some Scottish shortbread, although I don't want to turn the oven on a 42-degree day, and I do have to go to the airport, so maybe I might leave that until tomorrow. I've got knitting group tomorrow in the morning, which I really can't wait to go to. I'm looking forward to it. And I've just finished my Sophie hood, and I've also finished my cashmere striped cardigan, but I'll talk about that on my next podcast. So I'm lucky enough to be in a position to have to do a sneaky cast on. How good is that? I'm excited. I think I might start my triangle scarf. We'll talk about that on my next ordinary podcast. I've twittered long enough. In the meantime, be good. I'll see you next time. Bye.